In Israel alone, 5,000 cranes have died due to the bird flu.
There is a serious outbreak of avian flu that's been reported across the country.
The UK Health Security Agency has confirmed someone in Britain has contracted the H5 bird flu.
So we got a bird flu running rampant right now.
I'm tired of
in
flus.
Eastern Canada. No, we got to talk about it because it's killing off like birds on a farm.
It
right?
is. So it's not like a poultry farm. It's
Yeah.
an exhibition farm, but it killed like over 300 birds, and then they had to put the remaining birds down.
Okay, so we're gonna get into those details. Plus, we have a Ghislaine Maxwell update,
Don't we just?
and we've been following that story all the way through. You've been doing a good job, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, Auntie Dev's getting tired of Ghislaine's antics. Ghislaine's antics need to stop.
Plus, we have to talk about Scarborough's The Weeknd, who dropped his new album, and I'm hoping you guys have listened to it. If you haven't, don't worry. We'll give you some of the details.
You gotta support the homeboy.
Yeah, of course we do.
We
right?
have all weekend, or all morning, all weekend.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
I'm trying.
All right, let's talk about this bird flu. Okay, so we gotta go over to Newfoundland and Labrador
Yes.
because this bird flu somehow is running rampant on this farm. Around 360 birds have
Yes.
been killed because of this strain of this flu. The remaining 59 laid to rest. So what's happening with this farm right now?
So the birds, like the bird farm owner is saying that it's a real tragedy because these birds aren't being produced and bred for food. So it's not like they would have been killed for food production anyway. They would have lived like a long, healthy life. And he says that like, he really feels like these are like, not his children, but like they each have personalities and they're like living sentient beings. So it's really sad, but there's no evidence that the bird flu, avian flu, has spread to people at this point because of this outbreak. So that's really important to mention that it can spread to people.
Yeah, people should know this. Like it's like people have died from this same strain of the bird flu. What, 700 human infections reported to the World Health Organization from around 40 countries since 2003. So it can transfer from animal to human.
It can, but I want to kind of drive home the point that like that's 700 cases over the course of 18 years in the whole world.
Yeah.
So like I don't want people to be like hysteric about this,
Yeah.
but it is something to be aware of. It is something that's happening. A lot of people are talking about it. It's trending online. So yeah, that's what's happening out there right now.
And the farm's under quarantine, right?
It is. So there is also the concern that it could spread to, even though this isn't a poultry farm, it could spread to birds on other farms that are poultry farms, and then that would affect like the supply chain for food and
So
stuff.
we gotta hope that doesn't happen, because as soon as you say that, I think about mad cow.
Yeah.
All right, I know the big story everybody wants to hear about, though, is the Ghislaine Maxwell update.
Yeah.
Of course, as we know, she was found guilty.
Yeah, so over the break, found guilty of 5 of 6 charges. The most severe one, even though they're not all severe, but there are, sex trafficking of a minor. So she was found guilty on all of those, but because this case will not go away, everyone's calling for a retrial.
Oh!
So it's actually because of
Why?
a jury member. They're believing there's a conflict of interest there. So when they go through the jury process, they want to select people who they don't have conflict of interest. So there's no tie between them and the case. They haven't experienced anything similar. There's like a big long process. They ask all kinds of questions. But one of the jury members disclosed to media after the case had come out that he himself was a victim of sexual abuse, and he had told the other jury members that while they were, in the process
And
of
deliberating
deciding what was going to
verdict.
happen. So the issue with that is that what the prosecutors were trying to point out was, all this had happened. They had all these witnesses, these victims come forward, share their stories, and then Maxwell's lawyers were trying to poke holes in their stories. They brought in a memory expert saying that, memory is not reliable, human memory is very fragile, da-da-da-da-da. So obviously the jury hears that, they're making their decisions, and reportedly what has happened is he said, I was a victim of sexual assault myself. This is something I've survived, and I know as a survivor that you remember things that happened during your assault like very vividly. Like there's lots of, obviously you're not gonna remember everything. You got like, decades and time span and all of that. But when something that traumatic happens, it's not something you're gonna forget.
So do we think that a new trial is going to happen?
I do. And I think it's very, very unfortunate. I have no sympathy for Ghislaine Maxwell, and if you've been following this, you know this.
And I always appreciate your transparency on that.
For sure.
Yeah.
I have no sympathy at all, but I do think in order to keep the legal system and the justice system uphold the standards that we expect and we want to see, there probably should be a retrial, because you do have a jury a member of the jury who has a conflict of interest.
How didn't, like, because it's the jury, like, it's both sides who chooses the jury, so how did this get even missed? Like, that's a big question people need to be asking.
And the member of the jury who's come forward, he said that he doesn't remember being asked anything about his own experiences with sexual assault during the jury selection process.
Right. And again, I mean, I know we've talked about this and we've hit the nail on the head on this several times, but barely any media coverage of this case, barely any media coverage about what has transpired. Nothing. Peep. Nada. It's like we are the only ones talking about it, I feel like.
It's true, and it's not shocking to me because there's so many high profile people who are implicated in this case that people probably don't want to touch on it, but I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's happened. It's affecting people, and to me, this case is a symbol of like a widespread problem. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, two terrible people who did terrible things, but they are a drop in the bucket compared to people who are sexually abused, trafficked, raped, all of that. You know, it's a much bigger problem, and it needs to be discussed. You know, we have the Peter Nygard trial.
I was gonna say, because a lot of people have been asking us to cover the Peter Nygard trial, so
we will be, and that'll be another tricky one because there's lots of publication bans in place where they're not able to disclose certain information because it pertains to children and minors, but that doesn't matter. I believe as members of the media, we have a responsibility to provide people with the information that they can use.
Yeah, and the public deserves to hear that.
Of course.
Good job on that. Let us know what you think about this story. They call this switching gears, so let's go from Rev 1, or am I doing that right? Or
we'll just swerve.
We'll swerve.
Step on the clutch.
Change
Let me step
lanes.
on the clutch. All right. Let me go into gear 6.
We drive automatic.
Clearly. But Toronto homeboy, Scarborough man, The Weeknd dropped his album Dawn FM right at midnight.
We've been listening to it all morning.
Yeah, all 3 Brandons have been listening to it.
Yes.
Burns specifically has been blasting it in the office. We should highlight there are some pretty big names on this album that are featured. Quincy Jones, Tyler the Creator, Lil Wayne, and a specific comedian that you love.
Jim Carrey. He's, I think it's really interesting. Apparently they're neighbors.
Yeah.
And he's done some kind of voiceover on the album as well.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I think that's funny because when I heard you guys talking about it this morning, I'll disclose this, thought maybe he's like a rapper, Jim Carrey, and I just don't know who that is because that's like not my thing. And then I Googled it when everyone left the office, and it is the Jim Carrey from Newmarket, Ontario. So Auntie Dev's not in the loop, but now she is. I really am someone's auntie.
It's all good. It's all good. Listen, we're actually going to be reviewing this album next week. So listen in. Make sure that you guys also listen to the album. And then let's actually have like a session.
Break it down.
You about it?
Yep.
Yeah? Birds, you about it?
Yeah.
All right. And we'll let you know if we think this is his best album yet, or is it middle of the pack, or is it the worst?
Good questions.
How do you guys feel if you have listened to it?
No, we'll let you know.
Okay, we'll let you know. We'll let you know.
But if you've listened to it, let us know in the comments what you think.
Yes, exactly.
We want to know in advance of the review.
Exactly. On that note, we're gonna wrap up News You Can Use, but I do want to let everybody know that we don't. Which camera should I look at over here? This one? This one? This one?
I was thinking the same
Over
thing.
here? Okay,
This one?
there we go.
This one.
So we got cameras here, people.
You got 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Okay. There will not be a new episode of the BG Show coming out this Sunday. Our first new episode will be
On the 16th.
On the 16th, which is one day before a very, very big day. And if you don't know what that is, then you got to do your own research and your own homework. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, tap that notification bell, and make sure to follow us on all of our social media. We love you for watching.
Bye.
Hey BG Squad, thanks so much for checking out our channel. And listen to this, we have more great content for you, like this video right here and this video right here. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now and tap that notification bell.